So do you ever wonder what your animals are thinking? Well, my name is Lesia Alexander, and I'm an animal communicator and energy healer. And what I've learned from working with animals is that all behavior is communication. And what I've learned from working with my own animals is that if I make a promise and I don't keep it, my animals will let me know. Some years ago, I had come home from work and my dog had chewed up my couch. I was so mad, and I looked at him and he looked at me with that knowing look. I looked at him, he looked at me, and by the third time I just looked at him, he looked at me, and I remembered that he had been trying to let me know, communicate to me that I wasn't keeping my end of our agreement and his needs weren't being met. So he was letting me know as a gentleman. Then he got a little more assertive. Then he even got aggressive, and he had to resort to destructive behavior to get my attention. And I had not followed through on my part. And the deal was, you get these things and you are not destructive. And we had made that deal, and it worked. And that was on me. And that's when I realized that, again, all behavior is communication. And so I know that you all love your animals very, very much. And when they act out, are distressed, you worry and you don't know what to do. Well, we're in challenging times right now, and our animals are extra stressed just as we are. And did you know that during this time, this pandemic time, that they're doing extra jobs? So I think this is really a time to understand them and to find ways to help alleviate their stress and bring harmony. These are confusing times. We're confused, the world is confused. So when we're confused, our animals will probably be confused, and confusion creates stress. And then stress creates anxiety, and anxiety can create depression, health issues, and acting out behaviors. So how do we alleviate that stress and understand what our animal companions need? Well, I say the first line of action is to talk to your animals. And I know that you probably already all talk to your animals, but this is about letting them know what's going on. Before the pandemic, this is something that I would recommend. If you're coming or going somewhere, let them know ahead of time. If there's a change in routine, job, relationship, residence, let them know ahead of time. If you're going to a yoga class, let them know, hey, and not just tell them, but you let them know, hey, I'm going to yoga. And you give them the feeling of like how good it feels in your body to do the yoga and like how important that is for you. And then when you come back, you can share with them, all the whatever endorphins that you've got going, just that really good feeling. And that helps them to understand, oh, you're going, you're doing that. Now, we're still sheltering in place to a greater or lesser extent. And so some of our animal companions are awesome yoga partners, right? Others, not so much. They can even be a disruption. So for those guys, you could say to them, hey, I'm going to go in this other room for an hour and do yoga. And I really need this. This is really, this is what I need. And then you do it, and then you come back out and you just let them know, thank you so much for your cooperation. It's really important to not just let your animals know what's going on, but to appreciate them. They do so much for us. And it's really important that we let them know how much we appreciate what they're doing for us. And they are doing a lot for us, especially right now. And not just, it's not just telling them what you're doing, but it's also letting them know what you expect from them. So I'll give you an example of a situation. I was working with a couple. They had moved to a new house, and their cat started acting out, spraying, peeing. And they tried all the regular kind of things, and that didn't work. So oh boy, you guys, I just okay. So when I talked with the cat, he basically let me know that he was getting freaked out. He was a very sensitive, skittish, you know, little scaredy cat-ish kind of a guy. And they'd have people coming over, and it would freak him out because in their other place, it was quiet. Mom and dad went in and out from going to work. They had routines, and he had that nice, quiet, routine life. Well, one of the reasons they had moved is because they really liked to entertain. They loved having dinner parties. And so they were having lots of dinner parties, and he was getting really upset. So I talked about some of the recommendations I just shared with you. And so when they had they were planning a dinner party, they would let their cat know. They say, we're having a dinner party. And animals somehow, I don't know, if you give them, Tuesday next week, I mean, they don't understand Tuesday, they don't understand next week, but they somehow understand the time frame because of how we reference it. I don't understand how that works, but I've noticed it does. So let's say we're having a dinner party next week. You let them know when. It's going to start this time. It's going to end by this time, relatively. Here's how many people are coming. Here's who the people are, and send them pictures and feelings of the people. So they started doing that, and the spraying behavior decreased significantly. So I made one more suggestion, and they had a closet upstairs that the cat wasn't allowed in. So every time they had a dinner party, they would open the closet, they would put a cat bed in there for him. And he would march up there, hang out there for the party, and come back down. And the peeing behavior, the spraying behavior, pretty much went away completely. Because his needs were being met, he knew what to expect, and it became a new part of their routine. But if he didn't know when it was going to happen, it would disrupt him. And the other thing that sometimes we don't realize is animals have other kinds of jobs they do. I work with animal communication, and I do a good deal of this at a distance. So we're dealing with non-physical energy. So this means that they're understanding things in the non-physical world. They deal a lot with energy, which does affect us. And so we don't know what kind of work they're doing that requires something. So if we let them know, they can then navigate their jobs with our schedules. So another example is I was working with a woman who had an elderly dog, and her sons had moved out. It was just her and the dog. And she was going out a lot, and her dog was getting extremely anxious when she would leave. So she felt so bad, so she started sneaking out, which actually made it worse. The dog got even more anxious, and then she went away for a week, and her house sitter said that the dog seemed depressed, and she wasn't even taking treats. So her mom, the dog's mom, was really concerned, took her to the vet. The vet said, well, her hearing's going a little bit, her eyesight's going. She's a little creaky from old age, but really she has nothing wrong with her. So then her mom was really worried. And so she came to me, and when I talked with her dog, the dog showed me that she sometimes would get a little bit disoriented, like when she would wake up, it's like she was a little bit in a tunnel, and she would have a little bit of disorientation. And when, let's say, she had her normal life, and then all of a sudden mom was gone, or all of a sudden there were now people doing some repair work, or all of a sudden there were house guests, she would get confused and scared. It would scare her. So her mom started very systematically integrating, like every time she was doing something, she would let the dog know why she was doing it. She would include her when she would leave. If she was running late, and this is of course before the pandemic, she would send her a little email message, hey, I'm going to be a half hour late. And then the really sweet part was that sometimes she'd even send her little I love you emails when she was away, which our animals really do receive that kind of energy. And it took a little while for the elder dog to sort of catch on, but once she caught on, everything changed. She was relaxed, she had confidence, she knew where her mom was, she felt very assured. And And another tip that is really helpful, if an animal is having some kind of undesirable behavior, one could be that the animal doesn't understand what the desirable behavior is. And that's relatively easy to remedy. The other is that their needs are not being met, and so they're meeting their needs in another inappropriate way. In either case, what I really recommend is not to negatively reinforce, because if I say, get off the counter, get off the counter, what do I see in my head? I see the cat on the counter. And then the cat sees pictures of me seeing him on the counter. So he's thinking, okay, on the counter. He's not getting not to be on the counter. And with dogs and horses, negative reinforcement does not work with cats. You know, they don't have the brains for it. You know, that's what the research says, and certainly my experience, you know. So what does work is giving them not only the message of what it is that you want them to do. So let's say an animal is being destructive. Let's say a cat scratching up a couch, or a dog is chewing up the leg of the couch. Being that, let's say we do get their needs met, whatever, if there are other needs underneath that, but sometimes they just don't even know what you want from them. And especially if they're rescue animals and they've had a lot of homes, they don't really know what they're supposed to do. So we have to teach them. So you bring it over here, and you start giving them the imagery of scratching in the appropriate place, and with a really good, positive yes kind of feeling. And then every time they do the desired behavior, even if the desired behavior is being peaceful with the other animals, is like, you can just say, oh, I love it. Buster, you're being peaceful with the other, with our family members. What a good cat. And then even give them treats when they're doing the desired behavior, so that eventually, if you do this often enough, and you do it with all your senses. So if a cat's not peeing in the right place, so that's a situation I've run into many times. This isn't none of these things are panacea, but it is a very powerful tool. A couple had a cat who they lost their dog, and their dog used to keep all the other cats out of the backyard. Well, now the other cats were coming in, and the cat was getting really triggered and starting to pee and spray a lot, and they didn't understand that until we worked with them. So they started chasing off any of the other interlopers. So that was good, get rid of the trigger. And then they started sending in images like, the house, that's our space. Outside, and they would even send pictures of peeing, and even the feeling, the experience of peeing out there, like the pictures, the feeling, and like, oh, what a good cat. Thank you for doing your job. Or peeing in the litter box. And then whenever they thought of the rest of the space, that's our space. We're in charge, our job. Your job is out there. And those are the places you pee. And you do it over and over. And so you use all your senses. And that you also, the other thing is that is to really positively affirm it. And this was something I had to learn in my own life. You know, when I had animals that would act out, I was like, dang it, you just keep this, oh, that's Garnet, he just sprays on everything. You know, when I would be mad at him and I'd talk about him to somebody else. If you just kind of reframe and always refer, say, that's Garnet, I am so glad that you're working on cooperating and peeing in the right places. I'm so glad that you are part of the team. And then again, sending the image and peeing in the litter box. And then that the rest of this is mine. And just like, so appreciate, because I believe that all behavior is communications, and animals do not want to act in ways that are not cooperative. They are just doing what they know how to do to function, or to survive, or to communicate. And we are the ones that have to teach them the appropriate behaviors. We're the ones that have to determine what needs aren't being met and find healthy, appropriate ways to meet those needs. So when animals know what's going on, know what you expect of them, they feel a lot safer and they feel like they belong. And so I don't know why this, okay. I did already allude a little bit to how to communicate is to use your senses. And I don't know, sense of smell and taste, I don't really use that a lot, but even there, it's like, so if you're trying to get them to eat something, it's like, oh, that's so good, you know, like just using all your senses. And so the other way to connect is physically, emotionally, mentally, and spiritually. And again, happy feelings here, happy feeling here, calm mental feelings. Spiritual, I think of with all of us, but with animals is like being in touch with the earth and with spiritual source and doing what your purpose is here. And that to give them, again, to share with them all those feelings that you are desiring for them to experience and to have and to move in a direction, is that we share those on all our sense levels and all those different levels. So the other thing that is very important is that with animals, it's really important to let them know we're in charge and to be in charge of our own feelings. And this is something that is really valuable, not just for relationships with animals, but I find valuable with people too, is that when we're worked up or upset, our animals get upset. And then when we see they're upset, they get upset. I mean, we can amplify those kinds of things. So that's something that doesn't serve anybody. And so what I recommend is that, let's say if you come home and you're agitated or you're upset about something's going on, that you let your animals know that, you know, I even do this gesture. This is my feeling. These are my feelings. And it's not your job to take care of that. Because the other thing that happens is that when we love someone and they're upset, sometimes we take that on, and our animals will do that. And the thing is that it doesn't help at all, because we can't, like, just if I take on your feelings, it's not going to change it for you. So it's so that I could be more supportive to you without doing that, just like your animals can be more supportive if they don't take your feelings on. So you can let them know it's not your job to take care of my feelings. But I got it. It's my job. And yes, I'm really upset because you have feelings, and it's important to have those feelings. Yes, this is going on for me, but it's not about you. And this is a little harder. But the other thing to do in this situation is to sort of go inside yourself and find that place that's calm and that really loves them and cares for them. Just like open up that place and send them that beam of, you know, I'm upset, but I love you and you're good, you're fine, I'm taking care of you, this is mine. And so that you reassure them with that love. It's incredibly powerful. And so then if you're upset, you know, if you lost a job or a relationship is ending and you're feeling quite sad about that, your animals can come to you and comfort you. But you have, like, there's that separation so that it's not spilling over onto them. So I think it's really important to just again, have that separation, remind them, and then they can be of greater support to you. I was working with a couple, and we had talked about all this, and she called me and she said she and her husband were having one of their big fights that they have, you know, once a year, once every 2 years, whatever, like a really big fight. And she went into the other room, and her cat was like, like big eyes, like, kind of got really scared. And she remembered what I said, and she paused, and she said, yep, we're having a fight. It's a lot of energy. I'm really upset, but that's our work. And then she opened that place inside. She sent her cat the beam, and she said, I love you. And you're fine. This is not your job. And I'm taking care of you. And I got this. I got this. And her cat almost like shook himself and then went out the cat door and lounged in the sun. But before that, he was pretty agitated. And so this goes along with being a parent, a leader, and a teacher to your animals. And I know it's pretty obvious dogs really, really need that. But cats also need you to, in a sense, to be in charge of that for yourself. So yeah, so that's another tip. So I appreciate, in these crazy times that you are here, and that you care about your animals and that you want to find ways to help them. And I would like to offer, if you're interested, I'm writing a book, and I interviewed a number of animals, and what happened from those interviews, there's these amazing messages from animals, but there were some poems that were distilled from these. And I'd be willing to send you excerpts from my book. It would be for a cat and a dog, a poem and their message, and their messages are fascinating. So if you're interested in that, and that's a thank you for attending today, please just go ahead and when you get a chance, you can put your email address and your name in the chat. The other thing I'd like to offer is 3 free exploratory sessions, which means that we would get together for 30 minutes over the phone, talk about the top issues that you have with your animals, and then see if it's a fit for us to work together. And so if you're interested in that, let me know, and I'll send you like an application, and we can go from there. So before I move on, I just want to say that I usually would do a little section here on sort of like a little exercise in animal communication, but I've decided to do something else that came to me from the animals to do to help them during these particularly stressful times with this pandemic. So how this came about was that I was working with a cat and a dog. A woman came to me. Her cat seemed really depressed. So I worked with the cat, and the cat showed me that she was really tired because there was a lot of extra emotional confusion and fear and scare in the house. There was a lot more coming in from the outside, from the whole world. And she had to do double duty because our animals are always working our energetics with us and with the territory. And the dog was helping her to be just a cat and be very embodied and do the cat things. But they were both really busy. And what the cats told me is that they're not only are they doing extra work for their territory and their family, their people, but they're doing some earth work with the earth. And this was in the session. It wasn't really what we were doing in the session. And they said to me, you know, when I kind of in my mind started to wonder what they were doing, they said, they gave me an example of something like this. That they said, you're not a surgeon, right? I said, no. I said, and if a surgeon wanted to talk about some of the stuff they're doing, you wouldn't really understand it, would you? I said, no, not really, unless they, you know, kind of brought it down to my level so I can understand. They said, well, we're doing things that you don't understand as a human on the earth, so we're not going to really necessarily share that with you, but we are busy right now. So that's what they told me, the cats. The dogs, I am without a dog right now. My nephew, I call him my nephew, a beloved dog nephew of mine, started coming to me energetically and just emanating love. And I asked him, well, what's going on? He said, that's one of the things we're doing as all this fear is coming up. The dogs are emanating love, not just with their families, but they're going beyond, and they're just helping to emanate love into the love field because it's needed. So both of them, the dog and the cat, had extra work. So what happened is that because they signed up for a 3-session program, one of the things I did was basically a distance clearing, blessing of their house. And then also we did work to contain the energy fields. And then the person was able to periodically check in and be on the team of helping hold the territory, because all our animals that live with us, they are definitely do some kind of work with helping hold territory. So what I want to do today is take you through a guided meditation, and that you don't have to be home with your animal, because you can ask them to be with you, even if you're not there. And if they're with you, that's even better. So we're going to go ahead. I'm going to take you through a little guided meditation and help you to create some boundaries, energetic boundaries around your home during these times, which you can then check in with, and that can also help with keeping you safe from the coronavirus. So start by taking Few deep breaths. And getting comfortable. And then call on some kind of spiritual guidance. It could be your spiritual source. It could be guardian angels, helping spirits, those beings who work for your best and highest good and for the best of all concerned. Ask if your helpers in this situation would come and help you in this endeavor of creating a contained, safe, blessed, sacred space for your territory. And what you're asking is that this containment of your territory be for your best and highest good, for your family's best and highest good, and that includes all your animal family, for your territory, land, best and highest good, and for the best of all concerned. And ask your animals if they would partner with you in this process. And if they say no, thank them and ask them if they would witness. And then ask your animals, spiritual guides and guardians, to show up and work with you. And then ask for the benevolent land guardians who are already working with your territory for the best and highest good. So ask all these beings to show up. Create a safe space for you to do this process. And thank your animals for the work that they are already doing, for they're doing a lot of work. And now, from wherever you are, whether you're at home or not, sense the perimeter of what is your territory. So if you have a condo or apartment, then it would be different than if you have a house with land, or if you have lots of property, if you have a ranch or something. Whatever your territory is, just become aware of the boundaries or the perimeter. And you know, it may not be an exact rectangle, it could be a trapezoid, that's okay. So you have a sense of what that is, and all the beings, the guides, the angels who have shown up to help also are clear, as are your animals, that this is our territory and that you have the right and the responsibility to claim it and to have guardianship for it. Now we're going to do this work in the imaginal realm. If I were doing a workshop on this, I would actually have you prepare something ahead of time so that you could actually physically do it on your property. But we're going to use our imagination. And I know that working on energetic levels is just as powerful as working on the physical. And so imagine yourself somewhere where you know there are lots of rocks. It could be a riverbed, could be a mountain, could even be in your backyard, because some of us have lots of rocks in our backyard. And ask for 5 volunteer rocks to work as a team to anchor the perimeter, the container, the boundary of your territory. 4 of those rocks will be at least fist-sized. They could be bigger depending on your property, but they're about similar size. And then a 5th rock that is bigger. and ask for these rocks to volunteer. And they may just come forward, or you can know which ones they are. You could pick them up in your imagination or have your guardian angel pick them up, however that works for you. And once those have volunteered, bring them, if you have a backyard, to your backyard, or bring them into your condo or apartment, and let them sit together in a pile. And thank them for their willingness to help you. And let them know that the bigger rock is the team leader. And then send your love to the land underneath your territory, the earth underneath your territory. Love and gratitude. And allow those rocks to connect with that. And ask Mother Earth to bless these rocks and bless this process and the sacred space that you're creating. And ask for blessings from Father Sky, spiritual source. And perhaps touch each one of them in greeting, for you are also part of this team. And ask your guardian angels, your animals' guardian angels, and those of your territory for blessings as well. And now determine the corner of your property that's closest to the east. And then you yourself or one of your helpers, your spiritual helpers, can help you to ask for one of the rocks to volunteer to take that place and to bring that rock over to the eastern corner and place it there. And then gently tap or touch it and anchor it into the ground. Going from that point, perhaps going back and picking up another rock or having one of your guides bring it to you from the east place where you just placed the rock. Walk along the boundary, and remember, if there's shrubbery in the imaginal realm, you can walk through it all the way to the next corner, which would be the south, or the closest to the south, and place the second rock there and gently tap it and anchor it. And now there's a connection between the first rock and the second rock. Using a similar process, ask for the next volunteer rock out of those 4 that are similarly sized. And then walk that over from the south to the westerly corner and place that rock, gently touch, tap, thank, anchor it. And now you have like an L of energy going from one rock to the other to the other. And now get the 4th rock, walk along the perimeter from the west to the north, and place that 4th rock, tapping it, touching it, thanking it, anchoring it. And now you have something that roughly looks like a U shape. And now walk from the 4th rock back to the 1st rock. Tap that 1st rock, and you now have a circuit of energy that you've created. Check in with your animals. So they make sure that you are sharing this knowing with them. And now you're going to take the big rock and place it somewhere centrally. And again, this is in your imagination, and when later You might want to take a rock to be in that central location that can help with this as you check in periodically. But just place it. It could be in your house, behind an altar, on a table, on the floor. It could be outside in the yard somewhere in a relatively central location. And now you're going to tap that central rock. Again, anchoring it, thanking it. And as you tap, you're going to notice that it activates the circuit even more strongly of that perimeter boundary or containment field. So now we've determined this energetic perimeter. And so now what we're going to do is ask your animals to invite in an energy that will cleanse, clear anything that does not serve your best and highest good, your family. Really, we'll call it the community of your territory. So all the beings that work in harmony for the best and highest good of all concerned. That to release anything that does not serve that community. To just clear that out. So it may be a breeze or a wind, it may be rain, it may be a strong scent, a beautiful strong scent. It could be angel wings. You may or may not even see it, but just allow that clearing to occur. And thank your animals for their support in that. Very nice. Yes. And now ask the guardians, your animal guardians, your guardians, the land guardians, and your animals to call in blessing for your territory. And I would invite you to call in that which is for my territory community's best and highest good and for the best of all concerned. And we can also ask for harmony, safety, health, whatever it is we want, but I always like to broaden it out because our spiritual source knows better what we need than we do. We may not realize we may need some reorganizing, or we may need some calming, or we may need some upliftment, and we hadn't thought to ask for that. So it's anything that serves that you, your family, your animals, your territory, that community. And allow that to flow in. And I can feel some of your animals actually feeling relief. And that we ask that these blessings continue to be showered upon your home territory. And now we're going to ask for the guides and guardians who are working as a team to create a three-dimensional container, one that is semi-permeable, that can breathe, that can release what doesn't serve and allow in all the support and all the blessings. So this can look like a sphere, it can look like a octahedron, it could look like a net, whatever, or you may not even see what it looks like, but just trust that these guides and guardians will be creating this container, this three-dimensional container that supports anything that is for the best and highest good and keeps out anything else. And then ask that the coronavirus pass your home and all those in your territory. So we acknowledge it's there, but we're also asking the guides to help this pass over. And so I would recommend periodically checking in. And again, in your mind's eye or in your imagination, you can tap that middle rock and reactivate that circuit. It gets broken sometimes. Stuff comes in. We come in and out of the house. We bring stuff. We break it ourselves. So periodically check in. And then again, and just pray or ask for those spiritual sources to bless, because they know what's for our best and highest good, to just clear anything that doesn't serve, bring in the blessing, and contain the field. And that will help your animals, and it will make life better for you and your animals, particularly in these times, but in any times. And thank your animals for the incredible work they do all the time, work that we have no idea they're doing, that makes our life so much better, that makes us better people. And I know that my animals make me a better person, and I know that better people make a better world. So thank your animals for their tremendous gift that they give us. And thank all the angels, the guides and the guardians who have showed up to help with this practice. And tell them, go if you must, stay if you will, and that please come back whenever it's appropriate. And thank all the animals, not just your animal companions, but the animals that live around you as well. And so this is something that the animals, like I said, have told me it is very helpful to them. And so I invite you to periodically do check in and just kind of visualize and make sure you got a clear circuitry going that helps contain. And so I want to recap a little bit about some of the things that we talked about. So first, talking to your animals, letting them know what's going on, using all your senses, guiding them to the desired behaviors, always guiding them to desired behaviors. Again, giving them that information through all your senses as best you can, and to positively affirm. Thank you so much for your efforts to cooperate. Thank you so much for your efforts to behave. Thank you so much for whatever it is that you want them to do that they're not quite doing yet. Thank you for your willingness to work with me so that we can be a cooperative team. Really give them the benefit of the doubt. And what I know that I've had this happen with people I've worked with and in my own life, when I've done that, I've had some sticky situations. The miracle is that sometimes when we actually open up to that positive possibility and start believing that we really are working as a team to work this out, sometimes there was one situation where a woman couldn't figure it out. She had a part feral cat. He would not use the litter box. And so when she started positively affirming, and I'm not going to go into the details, it's a little long drawn out. She had this, like, all of a sudden this aha moment where she figured out how she could sort of lead him into going into a box with newspaper in it. And that was fine. She was happy to clean newspaper instead of him going all over the house. And it was when she opened up to those positive affirmations, the solutions emerged. So that's another thing. I know this seems like magic, and it is kind of like magic, but it's not. It's love. It's really the bottom line. It's love, and really, really allowing your animals and the spiritual support you have to help you learn how to live with each other in the most optimal way. So the other thing is to be in charge with your animals and be in charge of your feelings, to stay separate so that you're not amplifying each other in a negative way, that you can have the breathing space to support each other optimally. That actually takes a lot of stress off. And then of course, working with energy. Animals are very sensitive to energy. So I'd like to open this up, and I'll unmute everybody for questions and answers. And actually, if anybody has a particular situation with some behavior going on, and you want to see how you can frame that as a positive affirmation, let's give it a go and see if we can come up with some kind of words that you can use, that you can also attach feelings to, that you could say to your animal. Does anybody want to volunteer?
I will.
Okay.
So my husband adopted Jimmy the cat when he was in his youth from the Tacoma Humane Society. And he was a cat that was returned once or twice. And originally he was found in a home with many different little cats. So we brought him home. He would sleep in my husband's crook of his arm. He would sleep on his legs. He would sleep on his chest. And then we adopted Lucy, another kitty. And the two we can't join together. We've tried many times, watching Jackson Galaxy, reading all the books, trying to get them acclimated. And we really have to monitor, because Jimmy is now so muscle strong that he could just really take out Lucy, because she's so fragile and so frail. She's a lot smaller and a lot younger and a lot sweeter. So, but the problem is that we keep trying, which is fine, but Jimmy will not use the cat box. He will not use the litter box.
Ever, or since she's come?
Since she's come. Oh, yeah, I guess not. So, so I have gotten the puppy pads. We've shampooed the carpet. I literally pick him up and run him over there and ask him to go into the litter box, and he will for a few days, but then we leave to go to church or to leave the home, and we come back and he soiled the carpet. So we really just can't figure it out. We try affirmation, we praise him. He's a little rambunctious. So when I walk down the hall or up the stairs or over through the living room, he'll do that touch on your back of your calf, and it's like a little tap, and then he'll run off.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes he'll glom on, and you actually carry him down the hall with him on your leg. So I'm not sure if I'm doing the right thing, but a spray bottle might help maybe, or a small plastic container of pennies is what I see the fellow does with the dogs in California. And I'm just kind of throwing that out there. I'm not sure how to address that, because when I turn around and try and put a barricade or a block, tell him no, I literally have to put my arms away, because he'll then attack my arms. It's like the fight is on. He thinks I'm a bird, and he just wants to, play or kill me, one or the other. So,
I mean, it sounds like you have a pretty complicated, escalated situation. So
yes, it happens.
I would say it's not a simple fix, and when I do animal communication, I actually sort of go into another state and I really open it up. So I'm not going to do that right now, but what I can do is just give you some thoughts about situations that are similar to that. So first off, cats are extremely territorial and ritualistic. So having a change really throws them off. And as a male cat, territory is super important to him. So this other cat coming in. So how long have you had the other cat?
About 8 months.
And how long have you had him?
Oh, about a year, maybe. Almost
Okay.
a year.
And so
Yeah.
how old is she?
Starts at 5 a.m. If I don't wake up on time and my toes are exposed underneath the blanket, he'll jump up and bite my toes.
So one of the things about male cats, it's like they're part of their coding, their programming is to sort of take care of territory. So his territory has been threatened. And the thing about cats, Temple Grandin, I don't know if you're familiar with her, but she wrote a great book, you know, several great books. And in one of them, she really talks about how cats, when they get triggered, they have no ability to delay that response. So if they're getting triggered over here and they can't get there, they might actually respond over here.
Right.
So that could be part of what you become the place to respond, but he's just triggered by her encroaching on his territory.
Right. Do you think the spray bottle would help save my ankle?
You know, they say that cats don't respond to negative reinforcement, but I think that, you know, I don't think it will hurt. You know, I mean, I think hitting or really loud noises, that could sort of traumatize them a little bit. That wouldn't be helpful. I think water wouldn't.
Right.
One of the things is to really acknowledge you were here first. You were here first, and this is territory. And I want to, and the, I don't know if you're familiar with Anitra Fraser. She's written some really good stuff about cats, and she has a whole protocol about bringing in cats, and you know, lots of people do. That's a tough one, you know. And I've worked with many pairs of cats, boy girl, where the boy beats up on the girl, no matter what, over years of time. And part of it too is in the spring, even if they're neutered, they get that reproductive mating call, and so they're very feisty, and they become aggressive in some ways. You know, and so part of it is how do you, like, is he getting enough? Does he go outside at all?
No.
Okay, yeah. So the other thing I recommend that I don't know if you're doing is literally have like playtime with him, like where you tire him out with play, like, and literally like maybe 4 times a week. And if you don't like playing, I would recommend you find somebody who does, so that he gets that aggression, that yaya. Because think about it, if you are this powerful hunter or you are this amazing singer and you don't get to sing, that hurts. So it comes out sideways. So he is this amazing hunter and territory man, territory king. And he needs a place where he can show that, and you can go, oh, look at him, and you know, he's you know, and really get that need met. It doesn't mean it will stop 100%. Get the need met, and then start really saying to him, oh, what a guy you are. So he's getting that need, and understand that you see that about his beautiful self. And I also know you're working on cooperating, because there are now 4 of us in this house, and we all get to be here. And that you know, the image, and even like if everyone's sitting and calm, you could say, oh, you know, like you may already be doing, I'm so happy that you're such a cooperative team player, and you're such a hunter, and I can't wait to see you doing your thing tomorrow. You know, so you're giving him both messages, so he gets to feel like, okay, my needs are being met. Oh, you want me to be cooperative? Good, this need is getting met. I don't have to be acting out over here. You know, and just positive reinforcement over and over, and giving him the imagery. And then also with her, it's like finding out what's going on with her. And I'm not getting a strong sense about her right now.
She's very fragile and small. She's one of those friendly cats that when she sees you, she'll just lay on her side like one of those sleepy goats. She'll just like, oh my God, it's a human. And she'll just pass out and go on her side, like, come over and pet me. She's that sweet. And so the two are complete opposites, but we try every day, and we do try and wear him out, and we do give so much praise. And he's really very good. It's just that right off the bat in the morning, I can't have my ankles and my legs clawed. So I think I'm going to have to use the water bottle and see how that goes. I just wanted to know if you thought it was a good idea.
You know, I'm not going to say no. And, you know, like again, my understanding is negative reinforcement doesn't work, but without actually going in and seeing the dynamic, you know, in that other kind of state that I get into and seeing what's going on for him, for her, it's really hard for me to know like what the strands of all the dynamics are. But what I believe in is that we as humans, we need to take care of ourselves. And if our animals are disrupting our sleep, then we need to set boundaries. And, you know, and I tell people, I hate to do this, but you know, if you have to put your cat in another room and they're going to be crying and they're like they're getting murdered, they're really not suffering, you know.
Right.
Even though I don't like to ever hear my animals unhappy, you know, ultimately, like you set the boundary for you as a human being. It's not about, well, I'm trying to change their behavior. At this point, I don't know what to do about your behavior. I have to put you in there because I need sleep. So,
Right.
you know, it's like, so if you need a water bottle, then that's what you use, but you need to be able to take care of yourself.
Right. He has zoomies, and he will run 3 rooms up and down the cat tree on the tops of everything, bounce off the walls, and he'll just continuously do that until he's had enough energy release. But typically we do the laser and the birdie and things like that in the afternoon or evening. But in the mornings, he just will be so rambunctious. I think he's just a morning guy, you know, and it starts at 4:30 or 5 a.m.
Right.
Whether you're in bed or not. So.
And that's not unusual because if he were an outdoor cat and he had a cat door, that would be the time he'd go out and do his rounds.
Right. So thank you.
So okay, so the other thing you could say is at 4 o'clock in the morning, try this also, you know, and this, like any of these things you try, like you need to give it like consistently a few weeks to see if it's going to land, because you know, doing it once or twice isn't going to work. They need that consistent. But this has worked for some people. Is like is basically if you're laying there and he's starting to get rambunctious, you could say, so you're letting me know that you've been doing your job of taking care of the territory. Thank you so much. And yes, there's lots going on, and I really appreciate it. And I'll feed you at 6 o'clock or whatever. Like, you'll get fed at 6, and you just do that every morning. Let him know, and then give them. Now it's time to settle down. Thank you for letting me know that you're doing this awesome job.
Right. I appreciate
it.
Yeah.
You know, try that for like a couple of weeks, and that you appreciate it, and it's quiet time now.
We sure will.
That this is this is your awake time to do this. I appreciate it, and thank you for letting me know. And this is our quiet time, and you'll get fed at 6, and then we'll be up and at him.
Right. We will do that.
All an experiment, really, ultimately.
Right. See, we don't want to let Lucy out to play with him because he's so muscular. You know, from running all around, he has just really gotten to be really smart and tough, and you know, she's just so small and frail. So we just are afraid, you know, how to get them together.
And the other thing too is to give her the benefit of the doubt that she might be able to hold her own, you know, and to let her know that, you know, it's not okay for him to beat you up, and you have a place here, but he was here first. Right. He was here first, and he's kind of like, you have to kind of accommodate some of his space thing, and he has to accommodate yours. They have to work it out.
Right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Great.
Very good.
All right.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. Anybody else have questions about?
Well, I don't necessarily have a question, but I just want to let you know that Layla Blue is getting better, and she's been here listening throughout all of this, so she recognized your voice.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah, I started her on CBD, and it's made all the difference in the world. It's really exciting to see. So after waiting that period of time while she tried healing herself. So just wanted to let you know.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
Thank you. And I was just going to go back and to Anna and say, I would also look into some natural, like calming remedies. I don't know if you've already tried that with him, but there are some like homeopathic or herbal, calming remedies. I don't remember. There's one that that other people have used, and I wasn't a big fan of CBD for a while, but I'll tell you, I've had such reports of such good results that, for pain and also for mellowing out. So that, just like a little bit topically, not ingesting, on on his pads or something, to also experiment with that.
Okay, very good.
There's some natural pharmacy kind of, I'm not big on pharmaceuticals unless you absolutely have to. So I recommend more natural remedies to help calm the system.
Yeah.
So
I was skeptical about CBD as well. And also essential oils I have used, and I actually have a friend that creates specific formulas depending on the need of the animals. So she's had a lot of wonderful work and providing a lot of wonderful work through essence oils.
Is that for a feline or a dog? Or
She actually does primarily with alpacas, but definitely does cats and dogs. Yeah.
Yeah, I understand that it crosses over for mammals. It's like horses, cats, dogs, humans.
Yep.
It's similar remedies. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Same
really
with
amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was skeptical for many years, but because I know the communication really helps, like what you've been talking about and sharing with us. And to have that extra help is really amazing.
Yeah. Okie doke. So I'm gonna next thing I want to wrap up with sharing with you a poem from message from Mr. Master Cat, Mr. Master the Cat, Sir Sylvester. And again, like I said, I'm working on this book and I interviewed this cat, and this is sort of the poem that he came up with. That was his message to humans. But I'd like to just share with you a little bit about how I met Sir Sylvester. So I was working with his family. He has a dog in his family, and I was working with the dog, and his parents said, "Oh, would you work with Sly?" I said, "Sure." So we made an appointment. And whenever I work with an animal, I always ask, "Are you willing to work with me today?" I'm not going to just waltz in. I really believe that they need to be asked. So I get into this, everything set up, we're at a distance. I've got his photo up. I go, "Okay, Sly, are you willing to?" And before I got any further, he said, "It's Sir Sylvester to you." So it was Sir Sylvester, then it was Mr. Sylvester, then it was Sir Sly, then it was Mr. Sly, and finally it was Sly, and we fell in love with each other. And then it was, "Call me anything, just call me." And so I love this guy. And about a year ago, he passed. And it was one of the most, I was at the euthanasia, and it was one of the most profound experiences I've ever experienced, because most animals want to die on their own. And they don't really know always what's going on. He knew exactly what was going on. He started doing this trilling, purring thing, and he passed right over. And he was a master. So his message to humans is, and the name of this poem is "We Are Great Ones." If you avail yourself of our wisdom, you can enhance your experience of reality much, much. We are great ones. And we are not all masters. Some are spoolie-woolies. But even so, just by our natures, we teach and hold space. Energetic space. So, I know that when we can be part of the healing of our world by creating the world we want to live in, by treating animals and people the way we want to be treated. And I know that by working with animals, living with animals, I really do believe it makes us better people. And so I wish you all the wonderful benefits and pleasure of sharing your life together with your animals, and keep listening and talking to your animals and be part of the healing.
Thank you, Lisa.
Thank you so much, Lesia, for sharing this and